Right now, the transfer deadline is creeping ever closer. Some big money moves already gone through today. Some even bigger ones could go through tonight. So we thought it might be fun just to get together, have a little chat, try and separate truth from fiction. We've got reporters in England, in France, in Italy and in Germany. And we've got the former England and Sunderland fullback Mickey Gray with us here in our beIN Sports headquarters here in Doha. And a man who's been through one or two of these transfer deadline day moves.
I certainly have. A couple of occasions, yeah. It was exciting times for me because I knew I was on the move. It's a bit of a long process. It started at 7 o'clock in the evening. I didn't get the deal done until midnight, so you're kind of waiting around. The phones are going from each club. You've got your agent sat next to you. But it's exciting for me as a player because you know you're going to be going somewhere else. But
how complicated is it? Is it all about money or is there more to it than
that? Yeah, I think, it's just negotiating figures and things, Andy. But I think, the clubs have obviously got to work with each other. They're obviously trying to get somebody out before they get somebody in. That can be the situation. Or if there's a fee with it, it depends what the clubs agree with. So, that's a difficult side of it. I think as a supporter, you're probably sitting on the edge of your seat because you're excited that somebody else is going to be coming to your club. Everybody is excited when the transfer deadline day's around. This is it. So everybody will be watching. Hopefully they're watching us, so it's going to be pretty busy.
Deadline closes very shortly in Germany, next 15 minutes or so. Closes tonight in England, France and Italy. Spain is a day later than everyone else. So if you're a Liverpool fan wondering if you will indeed keep Coutinho, you've got a bit longer to wait on that one. All right, let's get over to England to start with. The big transfer saga, I suppose, over the summer has been Alexis Sanchez and Arsenal. The question is, will he stay at the Emirates? Will he go, perhaps, to Manchester City and finally link up with Pep Guardiola? That's been the talk, over the last few weeks or so. Let's get to Carrie Brown and Matt Critchley then over in England. Let's start with Carrie in London. By the end of tonight, will Alexis Sanchez still be an Arsenal player, Carrie?
Well, things just changed rather over the last hour, where we heard of a speculation of a £92 million bid to Monaco for Lemar. Could that then pave the way to Alexis Sanchez leaving the club at Arsenal? I've just been speaking to someone very high up at Arsenal. I'm afraid Arsenal fans now get Googling Lemar, need not bother. I mean, they know who he is already. But Arsenal telling me that's simply not happening. Alexis Sanchez stays. We were never in selling mode. Remember that interview with Arsene Wenger where he said, I'm surprised that you're surprised that you think Alexis Sanchez won't be made to run down his contract. We've seen him try and force a move over the last week. But Arsenal still believe Alexis Sanchez will be an Arsenal player by tomorrow.
OK, well, let's get over to Matt Critchley up in the northwest. You're outside of Anfield, but will that news tally with what you're hearing at Manchester City?
Well, Manchester City remain hopeful, guys, of signing the player. They tabled a bid a few days ago. They had a renewed bid today, around £55 million, plus another £5 million add-ons, so a total bid of around £60 million for Alexis Sanchez. That remains on the table, but the word they were getting was that was dependent on Arsenal finding a replacement for the player. We know about Thomas Lemar from Monaco. We know that ultimately he rejected Arsenal earlier in the summer. Their interest has been there for some time, and clearly the player will be involved in some capacity in that French game against the Netherlands, which takes place, in about 2 or 3 hours' time. So I think the chances of that deal getting done, there's been linked with the Liverpool, there's been linked with Arsenal. I think the chances of Lemar moving away from Monaco and coming to the Premier League are getting slimmer by the second because of his involvement in that game with France, as I say, in just a couple of hours' time. So without being able to get Lemar, without being able to get Julian Draxler through the door, I think it's highly unlikely that, as Carrie mentioned, Alexis Sanchez leaves. I think Sanchez stays with Arsenal. Manchester City disappointed with that. Clearly they wanted the player, but maybe they'll just have to wait until they can get him for nothing in 12 months' time.
Matt, Liverpool are really stepping up to the plate. I mean, I didn't really see them as title contenders at the beginning of the season, but the players that they are bringing in now, Oxlade-Chamberlain, if they do get one or two more over the line, then we can't count them out for going all the way to win the Premier League.
Mickey, I think what Jurgen Klopp is keen to do here is to add more depth to the squad ultimately at Liverpool. I think that's the issue with them competing in the Champions League once again this year, with clearly the domestic cups here and a difficult Premier League campaign once again. So I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's an interesting one because I'm not convinced he will play week in, week out for Liverpool. I don't think he's a guaranteed starter despite the amount of money they've spent on the player. He wants to play in midfield. I think he'll play as part of that midfield three. But will he start week in, week out? Will he displace the likes of Emre Can, who's been sensational, I think, so far this season? Jordan Henderson, who's the captain, the main bedrock of the team almost, and Gini Wijnaldum, who's probably the most likely to drop out if Oxlade-Chamberlain does come in. But again, when Wijnaldum started in particularly good vein, played well against Arsenal at the weekend, so he'll have a fight for his place here. Oxlade-Chamberlain, Mo Salah arrived as well. I think we have to say it's unlikely that Liverpool will do any more business today. They remain interested in Thomas Lemar. I've just explained that situation. They remain interested in Virgil van Dijk, but after the saga earlier in the summer, they can't push too hard with Van Dijk, and Southampton don't want to sell the player. So Liverpool were hopeful of a bit more business after Oxlade-Chamberlain last night. The mood and the message out of them this morning was that it's unlikely they'll do anything more here. So that will leave fans, I think, reasonably satisfied. But Liverpool's key weakness, and it's been identified for a couple of seasons now, is defensively. They needed reinforcements, particularly at centre-half. If either Dejan Lovren or Joel Matip get an injury, it's only Ragnar Klavan. That's all they have as a backup, and that still remains a concern, I think, for all Liverpool supporters.
We've got some interesting news coming up about Thomas Lemar and a potential move to Liverpool coming up a little later, so hold your thoughts on that. I just wonder, Mick, are Arsenal being a bit stupid here? Are they trying to hold on to Sanchez at the risk of almost cutting off their nose to spite their face here?
Well, it's interesting what Carrie says. Look, I think if you've got a player who let's be honest, he doesn't want to be at the club, so he's letting his contract run down. Now, if you've got a year left on your contract, then go out early on in the transfer window, bring in the players that you want, who want to come and play for Arsenal, and say to the player, OK, if we can get £55–60 million for it, we'll let you go. Manchester City have showed their interest. You know, they've put the bids in. I think they've put another bid in now for £55 million. If I'm the player, I'm saying to the manager, look, let me go. You bring in who you want to bring in. If
well,
they
common
get
sense as well from a business point of view. You
Absolutely.
let Sanchez go, you lose 60 million. You sell him now, and you bring in a Draxler, a Lemar, etc.
Yeah.
You're probably balancing the books, and you've got a player who you've got for 5 years in the future, not a player you lose for free next summer.
It's incredible. I mean, Arsenal's been ran a little bit shabby for me at the moment, if I'm brutally honest with you. They've got to get players into the club who want to play for the football club. If Sanchez doesn't want to be there, yes, he's a quality player. But if he doesn't want to be there, then he upsets the dressing room. The players that come into the football club, hopefully in this transfer window, they're only going to make Arsenal better, and that's what they're after right now.
OK, so not much going on at Arsenal today. Team, let's get back over to Carrie in London. And what about Tottenham? Any business? I was going to say White Hart Lane. I suppose it's being done at Wembley these days.
It is. It's funny, though, as you say, back to London, isn't it Swansea that's suddenly becoming the big mover? That remarkable loan move of Renato Sanchez from Bayern Munich really changing things. And Fernando Llorente now having a medical at Tottenham. We expect that to be quite a late announcement. Having said that, probably 2 minutes' time I'll get a phone call from Tottenham confirming it. But we expect that to be a fairly late announcement. Why do we say that? Well, I believe Wilfred Boney is down in Swansea having a medical too. When Llorente is actually confirmed, we expect Boney to be confirmed. There have been some speculation about him moving to Italy, but I believe that Boney will confirm a signing with Swansea if he completes that medical the minute that Llorente is confirmed for Tottenham.
Let's just wrap up London, Carrie. What about Chelsea? Conte has been fairly adamant he needs reinforcements. Any sign of anyone arriving at Stamford Bridge?
Yeah, well, Chelsea are remaining really tight-lipped. Riyad Mahrez, of course, one of the ones speculated to be joining Chelsea before people believed he was in Barcelona, which he wasn't. Chelsea remaining, though, very tight-lipped. I know Tancredi Palmieri will be talking to us in a moment about an Italian that might be heading Chelsea's way. But at the moment, they're refusing to confirm much. They've already been pipped to the post on so many occasions, haven't they? Lukaku, of course, even Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Danilo admitting that he was in contention. Even Kyle Walker to go to Chelsea. They can't seem to get a deal done at the moment, and they're confirming nothing.
Great stuff. Carrie, Matt, thank you very much. I did say a minute ago, Mickey, that there could be some news coming out of France surrounding Thomas Lemar. Matt Critchley mentioned there that Liverpool want Lemar, Arsenal want Lemar. The deal isn't happening. The word coming out of France, potentially, is that the player would prefer a move to Liverpool, but it's only Arsenal who can cough up the fee.
And I think we're talking £90-odd million, aren't we? I mean, it's incredible. You think about the season that Monaco had last time around. You know, the Champions League run they had, the players that have left their club now. He seems to be the one that's left. So I kind of question that a little bit. Is he worth £90 million? Because, you know, some of the players that have gone, you know, Silva at Man City, fantastic player. I do think he'll make wherever he goes a better side. He is a quality player, but the figures that are getting banded around now is incredible. So whether he goes to Liverpool or whether it's Arsenal, I think the Premier League's in a better place.
Do you know, don't forget with Monaco, though, was it 2 summers ago when they sold Kurzawa to PSG,
yeah.
Abdenur went to Valencia, Ferrer Carrasco went to Spain, Kondogbia went to Italy, Martial went to United. They sold what looked like an entire structure, entire side, the entire core of a team. and then look what they did. They go away, they buy all these young players, and they rebuild. What's to say that they won't do it again? And perhaps Lemar was just trying to be loyal and stick it out.
Well, there's no reason why they shouldn't do it again. You know, if they think they've got potential that's coming through the ranks, or they see somebody else at a different club that they can bring in for maybe half the price or even less than that, then let Lemar go. You know, you talk about Premier League football, whichever league we're talking about, if they think they can get rid of a player and bring somebody in with the same quality for a little bit cheaper, then they're going to do it. Monaco have done that over the years, you just mentioned it there, so if they do it again, I'm sure that there's some talent waiting in the wings.
The man in the know on all this, of course, is beIN Sports' Matt Spiro over in the French capital of Paris. PSG have been the big spenders over the summer. Monaco, though, perhaps with all the talk today. Matt, come on then, fill us in. Who's going where? Is Lemar staying in the Principality? Is he going to go to Arsenal or Liverpool?
It's a strange situation, guys, isn't it? Because Thomas Lemar, Kylian Mbappe, they're going to the Stade de France. They've got a big World Cup qualifier to play tonight. But their future's very much in the air. Mbappe, everybody knows, no secret now, joining Paris Saint-Germain. Lemar, we don't know. I've heard that Monaco have accepted Arsenal's last bid, which is a huge bid of £90 million, just over 95 million euros for a player who's only really broken through last year, a 21-year-old. Don't get me wrong, I think he's a top player, but as of yet, hasn't proven himself. He's just broken into the France team. The other bit of information that I'm hearing from a good source is that Thomas Lemar has a preference, and that preference would be Liverpool. So, you know, Liverpool have made a big bid, but not as big as Arsenal's. We're just going to have to wait and see on this one. It's obviously all going on behind the scenes. Thomas Lemar getting ready to play in a really big match tonight.
What about Mbappe? Is he going to PSG on loan, or is he going to make the deal permanent today?
No, it's a loan deal. There were reports that PSG had ultimately agreed with Monaco to pay the money up front, 135 million euros up front with 45 million euros of bonuses. But it is what we thought initially. It's a loan deal with the option to buy on July the 1st next year. Now, what PSG want is to make sure the option is not a compulsory option, because if it is, they have to put it in their accounts for this year, and then they have to justify all this to UEFA how they could spend this amount. So they've tried to basically come to some sort of agreement whereby Monaco get the guarantees that PSG will buy him, but officially it's not a compulsory option. So there's going to be a clause in there, whether it's the clause that we thought before, that PSG will have to buy him if they don't get relegated. We'll have to wait and see. But Monaco were not particularly happy about the fact that it's not a compulsory option. So, you know, they want to be sure they're going to get the money next summer, because next summer he'll only have 1 year left on his Monaco contract. But it's going to be a loan deal, and it's going to be, you know, the finer details will probably come out in the next day or two.
Matt, can you bear with us there for 1 second? I want to come back to you, but just get the thoughts from Mick a second here. Kylian Mbappe, he's had really half a season as a first-team player, and he's worth, what, 180 million euros?
But then he could become a bargain. Because the way the transfer market's going right now...
You can tell how much money he's got.
No, listen, if you look at the price of Neymar this time, you know, 220 million euros, absolutely phenomenal money. You know, he's just broke the seal. So if Mbappe eventually goes to Paris Saint-Germain with a loan deal, I'm sure there's a fee involved in that, and he goes there for 140 or 150 million. You know, if he has another great season, he could be worth 250, 300 million pounds because of his age, because of his talent. I'm one of his biggest fans. I think he's an outstanding player. Wherever he goes, he's going to make them better.
Scary thought, these figures, this transfer window. Let's get back to Matt in Paris. So if we know Neymar's arrived in Paris, if Mbappe's going, something has to give. Financial fair play still exists, even in the French capital, so who's going out the door?
It does exist, and it's something that PSG are taking very seriously. People may not believe that on the face of it with the money they're throwing at Neymar and at Mbappe, but we know that players have been loaned out. We know that Matuidi has gone. Serge Aurier today has signed for Tottenham. So they are reducing their squad, but the feeling is there could well be a big name player leaving. They've got too many forwards. That's an issue, because the likes of Lucas, Di Maria, Draxler, they're not going to get in the team. When we've got the front three of Neymar, Mbappe and Cavani, these guys are not going to get enough game time. And Julian Draxler, I'm told, wants to stay in Paris. Di Maria, a little bit less certain. Tempted by Barcelona. We know there were some inquiries from Barcelona. Might they make a late move for Di Maria? I think from a PSG point of view, they want to sell. They would love to sell a player for 50 or 60 million euros if they could, just to give them a little bit more leeway when it comes to presenting their case to UEFA.
Am I the only one thinking that relations between PSG and Barca are such that it's very hard to see Di Maria going to Barcelona?
Yeah, you're probably right there. I mean, I think any sort of discussion at the moment between Barcelona and PSG would be a tense discussion. But at the same time, business is business, and Di Maria, he's still a wonderful player. He had a disappointing season last season. I know a lot of people at the club see him as the most talented player at Paris Saint-Germain. He doesn't always tick, but you know, if Barcelona are looking for somebody with that sort of ability, PSG looking, like I say, for a big check, then who knows? As far as Di Maria is concerned, he said off the record he doesn't want to go back to England. We know it was a disaster for him at Manchester United. He didn't enjoy his time there at all. Julian Draxler, on the other hand, would, if he leaves Paris Saint-Germain, be open to a move to England, and he would be a great addition for obviously a club like Arsenal. We're going to have to wait and see what happens with Sanchez in the next few hours, but Draxler, there is interest from Arsenal in Julian Draxler as well, and you know, I think if they can convince him, that would be a great signing.
Thank you very much, Matt Spiro in Paris. Di Maria, Barcelona, can you see it? Former Real Madrid man?
Well, it's happened before. I think Figo went to Real Madrid, didn't
he?
The other way,
that worked out for him.
I mean, look, it worked out for him. He's a fantastic player, Andy. Listen, it didn't work out for him at Manchester United. He probably had the wrong manager, changed his position on 5 or 6 occasions when he put him in the team. If he goes to Barcelona, you know, he's a great player. He's going to love it. He knows the country. He knows the league. And does he make them better? I think Barcelona at the minute are probably looking for some more talent. Silly of me to say that, really, when you think about their forward line. But you know, he's a fantastic player, and he only make their squad better.
What about the other one that Matt mentioned there, Julian Draxler? Potential move to Arsenal. He said the player would rather stay in Paris. Could you see him fitting into Arsene Wenger's side?
Well, the thing is, look, I mean, we're talking about players who are going to fit into sides right now. And if something is going to happen with Sanchez, I think Arsenal have got to get players in before they let him go. Because if they don't do that, then their squad's going to be depleted anyway. Oxlade-Chamberlain's left, and I don't think their starting 11 is really strong enough to push them to try and get into the top 4. We probably thought that at the beginning of the season. But somebody like Draxler, you know, it bums on the edge of the seat, if you like. He will make them better.
It must be a difficult time to be an Arsenal fan. Matt Spiro telling us there, Thomas Lemar doesn't really want to go to the Emirates.
Yeah.
He prefers Liverpool. We've seen Ox make his way out to go to Chelsea to go to Liverpool. I beg your pardon, this week. It seems as if the Emirates isn't really a happy place.
It's interesting to hear that, isn't it? You know, we're talking about a fantastic football club, and players are turning it down for one reason or other. Whether they think the manager's going to be leaving in this season, or they just don't want to go and play under that pressure that Arsenal find themselves in right now. They want to go to Liverpool, the exciting football they're playing right now, and probably they want to go to Manchester United and Manchester City before they even go to Arsenal. So something has to change.
Would you still go there now?
Absolutely. I think some of the football that Arsenal play on the eye, you switch the TV on, excellent. They had a bad week against Liverpool last week, but it's not going to happen every single week. They are a great side. They've just got to find that formula when things aren't going well for them to get over the finishing line, which they can't do at the minute.
Right, next up, Italy. Tancredi Palmieri, the man in the know there for us. Tancredi, what's happening in Italy today? It's a slightly different situation the way deals are done. The biggest one we heard today, Paulo Dybala, potentially on his way.
Indeed, buongiorno from Milano. First of all, a bit of a context. As you can see, as usual, the only place in Europe that is actually prepared for the deadline for the negotiation is here behind this hotel in Milan, in the center of Milan. You can read the Calcio Mercato 2017 on the columns. But it wasn't happening here, though. The big thing of this last day, that bid from Barcelona, that offer, that phone call, probably even some mails to Juventus that was offering to them a total figure of 160 million of euros for Paulo Dybala, 115 million of euros cash plus 45 million of euros add-ons. But honestly, it was just utopistic from Barcelona to think that Juventus would offload their star exactly on the deadline day with no time then to recover to such a sale. It didn't happen in this headquarters, in these rooms. It was in the Juventus ones, although here inside all the clubs from Serie A, from Serie B, they have their own box and their own room to do negotiation. Back to you guys, because I don't have any more at the moment the audio from the studio.
All right, you can't hear us, right.
I tell you what, what's the transfer that would be if it had gone through? You lose Neymar, you get Paulo Dybala, you're probably not too disappointed.
No, but listen, we saw Dybala last season. Fantastic player, young again. I think that's what everybody seems to be looking for right now, isn't it? A bit of excitement. Saw him in the Champions League final. He's got a wonderful left foot. I mean, he's going to be around for a long, long time, and he's only going to get better. I was just going to ask Tancredi, I know it's a shame that we can't, but if he does, and it's a big if right now, whether they put the money up, who would Juve bring in to maybe replace him because of the ability that he's got? And I know Juve are obviously a strong side. They want to stay strong. They want to do well Champions League, and obviously domestically with all the other sides below them now, spending a lot of money, putting the pressure on them to win that league. But it's all happening, Andy. Where's it going to end?
That's a really good question. I'll tell you what Tancredi was going to tell you. He was probably going to tell you, because he sent me a message before, Zappacosta to Chelsea. Antonio Conte using his contacts in Italy, looking to bring in a right fullback. Zappacosta, perhaps not the usual type for Chelsea, not an aggressive wing-back type, but certainly something different.
Well, that's what they need, I think. You know, if you stand still, like we know in the Premier League, I think Chelsea got off to a little bit of a shaky start, but over the last couple of games that they've played, they've got a little bit stronger. They've still got this speculation going on behind the scenes with Costa. What's going to happen with him? Is something going to happen today? If it doesn't, then he's going to have to stick around till his contract runs out, or till he sorts something out. But listen, Chelsea are a good side, and I think players like that, if they do join Chelsea, they're only going to make their squad, you know, stronger.
Yeah, they need something, don't they? Right, last destination for us, Germany. One or two moves today. Julian Meissner is with us in Germany. Julian, what's going on in Germany today? It seems a lot quieter there, a lot calmer than Italy, England, France.
Hi guys, I wouldn't say it's really calm. It has been calm in the morning, so deadline day is always busy in here as well. It was picking up speed in the last hour. Transfer window is closed by now, 6 p.m. local time, so there was no more major deals done by the local heavyweights, but there was some interesting transfers, especially from Borussia Dortmund, who got an English top talent a couple of minutes ago.
What about, we heard earlier today, Benedikt Havidis has gone from Schalke to Juventus. Did that surprise anyone?
It wasn't a surprise yesterday anymore when it happened, so yesterday that was a done deal. It is interesting because he is an icon at Schalke, world champion of 2014, and it wasn't actually expected for the start of the season that he would go, but new coach Domenico Tedesco, he replaced him as a captain, and then there was some interferences, I would call it, between the coach and the player. And then, now he's on a loan to Juventus Turin, which is a top club, and I'm really excited to see if he can play an important role over there. Fans are not exactly happy about it.
And what about Divock Origi, the Liverpool, the Belgian striker? He's on his way to Wolfsburg on a season-long loan, we're hearing. Yeah,
he's coming for 1 year from Liverpool. 22-year-old Belgium striker. I think that's a deal that makes sense because Mari Gomez, the star striker, Wolfsburg, he needs some support in the offense. And Origi, he's only 22, but he's actually quite experienced, having more than 100 first league games in England and France. Can play in the center, can play on both sides. So I think that's a deal that makes sense because he didn't have that much match time at Liverpool, and I think it's a good deal.
Julian Meissner in Munich, thank you very much. You know, they're so much more efficient, the Germans. Everything's done and dusted. They don't go down to the deadline like everyone else.
No, they don't. That's why everything you say, it was signed, sealed, delivered. They want to get their squad settled as quick as they possibly can. And then
sensible
just get on with
prices, I should add as well.
Yeah, but I think they've always been like that. I think over the past, even Munich, you know, they haven't gone out and spent hordes amounts of money, you know, on one individual player. Yes, they bring quality players in. That was an interesting one for me, you know, Munich's transfer deadline day. You know, how many players they've brought in, a couple of chops and changes, but, you know, he's obviously settled with the squad that he's got and thinks that they're good enough.
So that's this. We've been Germany, we've been Italy, we've been France, we've been England. Deadline shuts in England, in France and in Italy in just a few hours' time. You might be wondering why we haven't crossed to Spain today to join our reporters there. Of course, the window shuts 24 hours later in Spain. Do you see Coutinho being a Liverpool player in 24 hours, or do you think that one's still got legs?
I think it's still got a little bit of legs. Liverpool supporters probably won't want to hear that, but I think if they can bring in a couple of players, if we're talking about Lemar, if he wants to go to Liverpool, then there's a space for Coutinho to leave the football club, because, you know, Liverpool is spending a lot of money, and I think, you know, Van Dijk, the speculation won't go away. I don't think that one will actually happen, but it just shows you the type of players that Liverpool are trying to chase after now, but their squad is strong.
Mick, we're just about out of time, but thank you very much for tonight. I hope you enjoyed this little news extra we've given you here on Facebook Live. If you're watching us in the MENA region, all the conclusive details, all the final deals, etc., tomorrow night, beIN Sports News, 1800 Mecca time. We'll see you then, but for now, it's good night. Enjoy the rest of Transfer Deadline Day.